President Trump has declared this Liberation Day. Now, what it means, in typical Trump fashion, we don't really know. There is not a definitive plan. There is 3 options that are on the table. So we will have a bit of a cup and ball game this afternoon. Almost like the selection draft.
Yeah.
It's like I've decided to go to which college. Auburn. There you go.
Put that hat on.
Put on that hat. So we've got 3 hat options.
That's right.
3 hat options that are different ways tariffs could apply. You have an option where it's everyone's tariffed. You got some that are selective tariffs. And then you got, what's the third?
This is Make America Wealthy Again event. And here are the 3 options. It is a 20% universal tariff on virtually any import. So anything coming from another country into the United States, 20% tariff on it. There is a second plan, which is a reciprocal plan, which is more targeted at the countries that have high tariffs on us. And so there are varying percentages levied on those nations based off of reciprocity. And then this third one, which actually was brought to him last night. So this is like an 11th hour potential new plan of which he said he is mulling over, is that there is an across-the-board tariff on a subset of nations. So it's almost a hybrid between 20% on everyone or varying. It's that kind of that subset that have the high tariffs, but it's a flat fee for that subset. So it's interesting. We won't know until 4 o'clock Eastern which one he chooses.
Press Secretary Leavitt saying, hey, it is going to work. Can we tell them what that was about, Will?
Yeah, so we have the sound from her. This is where she's pushing back against some of the people that are saying it's not going to work. Here's bite 1.
They will be effective immediately. And the president has been teasing this for quite some time. They're not going to be wrong. It is going to work. And the president has a brilliant team of advisors who have been studying these issues for decades. And we are focused on restoring the golden age of America and making America a manufacturing superpower.
This could push America back into getting stuff made here, actually. Because I don't know if you've tried, and I have tried for different businesses, to have products produced in the States. It's very difficult. It's not only difficult financially, sometimes you just can't physically do it. There is not the factory that can develop the product you're looking for. And of course, you go to China, and there's 4,000 factories ready to go, ready to create whatever you want, will operate on the highest level of customer service, if you will. Where in America, I remember we tried to get something done. It was the factory that could do it kind of like brushed us off, would barely even have the conversation, not worth their time, or they want to charge you something absurd. So hopefully, if there is going to be positive with these tariffs, is that it could bring manufacturing. But that's also, there are some places that's happening already. That is pretty long-term forecasting.
Traditionally, you think of conservatives, people on the right, they're more for free trade. And that's nice in theory. But what we're seeing is a world where we have free trade with them. We send our products, but they put tariffs on theirs coming here. So it's not fair. It's not free. It's not going both ways. That's why the idea of reciprocal tariffs to, one, either try to get them bring it down, their prices or tariffs down, or at least level the playing field. On the other side of this is, and you see kind of the gamesmanship of getting maybe things done, and with the border issue or with fentanyl trafficking, you can use this tool to try and get other policies. But then there's also the other aspect of this, which is the manufacturing part, where when things that we bring in aren't hit with a tariff, they remain low. So the demand for imported goods from another country, the demand here, because they're made more cheaply, is higher. But when we send our goods to another country and they put a tariff on it, that lowers the demand for American goods abroad. So it hurts our companies here that may have an international business.
Yeah, for China, if you want to think about it this way, the film industry in China, which is something, I've worked in the film industry for the last 20 years, so I've had to deal with international sales. They actually have laws on how many productions they can import. And what if the movie theater has a certain number of screens, a certain number of them have to be made in China or funded in China. That's why you see a lot of times now a random Chinese production company at the beginning of a movie, because Universal or whoever, I'm using that example, I don't know if it's Universal, will go do a deal with one of those so they can be one of those allocated Chinese films that's happening. I'm not saying that's the right thing, but they're protecting their entertainment business in a weird way. Same way that this would potentially restart the manufacturing business.
Well, that's right, because also if the demand dries up in some ways for bringing the tariffed goods now into the United States, if these things we're bringing in now, the price is raised because of these tariffs, then the demand for that shrinks and it creates competition here at home. It creates the ability for people, and yes, that is a long-term vision. Maybe there are many companies that may already have facilities. They can make these switchovers, but it does start to plant the seed of rebuilding the manufacturing base here in America.
How much is this just to get people to the table, to start kind of renegotiating with different countries? Because we've already seen some countries react to this.
Right.
Canada, we saw Israel react to it. We've seen a lot of them start. So is this just another President Trump negotiation tactic to quickly get us on the right track by forecasting something that is seemingly, honestly, it feels not impossible to bring manufacturing back to the United States, but it does feel a long way away.
Today has been labeled Liberation Day, and arguably that means that the United States for too long has been held hostage to a free trade mantra. And many other countries have taken advantage of us in terms of industrial production, pharmaceutical production, dairy production, and you name it. So it's important to keep in mind that if you look at India, the United States has had, for instance, a trade deficit with India of $40 to $60 billion. The United States has had a trade deficit of $65 billion or thereabouts with Canada. The United States has, at least according to Global Finance magazine, and I have yet to check this against a third party, the trade deficit with China has surged to $1 trillion. That is an astronomical number if true. That means that the U.S. industry in a wide range of departments has been hollowed out and is in the process of being hollowed out. And Donald Trump is saying this is far enough and you can go no further.
President Trump has said at 4 p.m. Eastern, he's going to be announcing what this is. We may know beforehand. Sometimes you find out a little bit before of what the decision is being made, but it goes into effect, according to their team, immediately. So this would be something that is on the books tonight, gets to work. So the time for negotiation in that sense, the damage will have already been done, if you will. So you got to make sure that these countries can actually react, have time to react. But I think the idea of he's been pushing him for the last 2 months. So now, look, we're actually going to do it.